doesn't matter if they ruin a young girl's life. You know what I'm saying? A young girl have sex with some old man for money, and these Mexicans just don't care. You know what I'm saying? All they care about is having sex with little girls. They don't speak from the heart. It's like, how can you let your daughters be bitches for money? It's like, how do they feel no shame? They feel no shame. Their daughters are bitches and they feel no shame. They rather just have sex with little girls. I stopped having sex. My daughter's not gonna be a bitch. I'm not Mexican. I'm not. I'd rather have nothing than to let my daughters be bitches for the white man. They don't care. He'd rather make threats to little children. He'd rather sell his daughters. You know what I'm saying? He'd rather let his daughters be taken advantage of while he pretends he doesn't know. While he pretends he can't hear me.
Alright, so I got to throw this part in again because this was very important. You know, like I said, man, back then, America, United States, it was considered kind of cool. There was people, they all worked together. You know, different races. They wasn't racist. They was actually fighting against slavery. You know what I'm saying? Now, I told you the thing about the well in Egypt. You know, it was this water well. The well had like some type of plants where if you drink the water from that well, it actually puts you under, it's actually drugging you. You know, back then we didn't know what drugs was. It was many generations ago. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know what pharmaceutical drugs was. So they considered it a magic spell back then. Like you drink from that water well and it puts you under a magic spell. All of a sudden it's like you're hypnotized, you're easy to influence. Why I bring that up is because that's how they would enslave the people there. You know what I'm saying? They enslaved the people. Yeah, they'll beat them up, put them in chains, but actually one of the ways that they would enslave them was by drugging the water. Everybody that was there was drinking water that was drugged. It affected their, you know what I'm saying, affect their consciousness, psychoactive properties, or you know what I'm saying, do your homework on psychoactive chemical reactions on whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, so that's really how they would enslave the people. Now those people got beat up and they was told to stop, but the water was still drugged. So at the end, they just threw some shit into the well so that no one would drink from it, you know, and then they left. They went back to the United States. When they went back to the United States, they ended up getting followed by the people that they had beaten up. Those people were still mad about it because they had been enslaving the entire population by drugging the water, you feel me? So they was mad, they followed the ones that beat them up, they followed them back to the United States. So the ones in the United States, you know, there's a black guy, Asian guy, there's, you know what I'm saying, there's a white guy. I think there's like 2 or 3 white guys and 2 white girls or white females, you know what I'm saying? And that was like their team that was not racist, that, you know what I'm saying, they're not rapists, they're not slave owners, they all believed in fighting against slavery, you know, so they went back to the United States. They knew they had been followed. They didn't know who the people was. They didn't know when they would be hit. You feel me? Like I told you, how these people fight. They fight by drugging your water first. Once your water is drugged, that puts you under a different mentality. It's almost like you're under hypnosis. You're more open to suggestion. Maybe your memory is weakened. You might have like really short-term memory or something like that. So because they know how that works, it became a thing where everybody decided to live in different parts of America. That way, wherever you live, let's say you live in Los Angeles, if the water in Los Angeles got drugged, then the whole population of Los Angeles would be under the same drugs. They would all be drinking that drugged water. You know what I'm saying? Why I say that is because nobody there is going to know. They're just going to all of a sudden they start drinking the water. They get put under a state of hypnosis. They either have short-term memory. They might be more aggressive. They might be more inclined to have sex. They might be having short-term memory. You know what I'm saying? It's very difficult. You know, the Americans are always spying on me, distracting me. You know what I'm saying? They just love prostituting our children. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like I said, when they drug the water, the entire population gets put under the same drugs. You feel me? So if they drug the water in Los Angeles, everybody in Los Angeles will start acting weird. All of a sudden, you might see everybody being addicted to sex, or you might see all of a sudden a bunch of zombies walking around on the street, and you don't understand why this is going on. It might be because there's drugs in the water. You feel me? So why the heroes lived in different parts of the United States, because even if the water in Los Angeles was drugged, then maybe somebody in New York would be able to know. You know what I'm saying? If the water in New York was drugged, maybe someone in Texas would be able to know. If the water in Texas was drugged, maybe someone down in Mexico would know. If the water in Mexico was drugged, maybe someone in South America would know. They try to separate each other so far apart so that even if the water was drugged in one region, there would be someone in a different region far off that would still have clean water, right? And then by doing this, everybody check on each other. You know what I'm saying? Not to spy on each other, not to prostitute each other's children, but to make sure that they're not being drugged. And then that way they're able to still think clearly. They're still able to raise their children freely, able to raise happy children. They're not under the influence of drugs. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they all separated. They all moved far away from each other so that they can check on each other. And if one of their populations ended up being drugged, someone from a different population will be able to see that and try to do something about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, why the fuck there's a bunch of drug addicts and sex addicted women in Los Angeles all of a sudden? They're like, yo, maybe their water's drugged. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they did it like that. What is it though? You know, it seemed like it spread all over. You look at New York, you look at Los Angeles, you'll see zombies everywhere. You see sex-addicted prostitutes everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Even when I went to high school in Catella High School. You feel me? In Catella High School, I found out the school administration was drugging the students. They would secretly drug the students in order to make the girls more likely to prostitute and in order to make the boys more likely to get into fights. You feel me? These drugs, they affect the children's hormones, you know? So a lot of the Americans want to keep it a secret because they like to prostitute the children. So they're not going to talk about it. They're going to keep it a secret. They're going to prostitute the children, and they're going to make that big money. You know what I'm saying? They're going to make that big money by drugging the children, prostituting the children, and making money off the exploitation of children. So they don't want to talk about it. They're making too much money off of it. You know, but I don't like that shit. I stopped having sex. I don't want my children to be drugged. I don't want I don't want their hormones to be manipulated. I don't want my children to be exploited. I stopped having sex. I really be trying to make an issue of this, even if the politicians, the U.S. military is against me. Even if these Americans are spying on me and they just want to make that big money off taking advantage of children. I go against all of that. I think for myself. I speak for myself. I'm going to raise my children right. I don't want my children to be exploited. You know, so while the Americans spying on me, talking behind my back, and then they go have sex with underage prostitutes, I stopped having sex. I don't mess with their underage prostitutes. And I want this shit to stop.
All right, real quick story time. So I was talking about the Club 616 in Santa Ana, right? So before, it'd be a bunch of different races. They'll work together. They'll help each other get rid of each other's bad men. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the whole Quincy and Nero thing started. It actually stopped, but then they wanted to do it again in Santa Ana, right? Which is the tradition of the Mexicans prostitute their daughter. When their daughters turn 16 years old, then the Mexicans prostitute their daughters. You know what I'm saying? It's like a surprise. They throw them a birthday party, and then it's like they get them a dress, and then they have and then their daughters have to have sex with some old man for money. You know, it's like a bad surprise. It's like a nightmare and shit for some of the girls, you know? So they wanted to start that over again. You feel me? Now, back then, 4th Street in Santa Ana, it used to be a nice place. There would be different races going over there. They bring their families over there. They bring their children. They go shopping. You know what I'm saying? And it was a nice place to bring your families. If you look at how, you know what I'm saying, they're thinking like, oh, it's not a big deal. They just want to prostitute their daughters, blah, blah. You look at Santa Ana after 10, 15 years, what happened? You know what I'm saying? What happened is that it's known for drug addicts. There's dope fiends everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Now it's known for gang members causing problems. They'll fucking steal your shit, run away. People fucking tweakers. You know what I'm saying? Little girls selling their bodies. You feel me? So they think it's not a big deal. But if you really pay attention to what happened, it's like Santa Ana used to be a nice place where different races will come by. There'll be white people, there'll be black people, there'll be yellow people, there'll be, you know what I'm saying, brown people, and they would all go there. They would bring their families. They go shopping there. Their kids would play around, running around outside. When the white people and the Mexicans decided to bring back the Quincy and Nero, you know what I'm saying, when they decided to prostitute the Mexican girls as soon as the girls turned 16, that's when it didn't change right away. But slowly, after 5 years, then you start seeing, oh, there's more drug addicts. There's more crime in the streets. 10 years. Oh, now you see zombies walking around. Fucking tweakers and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? 15 years. Oh, now the streets smell like shit. You know what I'm saying? And this is all, you know what I'm saying? This all started when they decided they wanted to prostitute their 16-year-old daughters. You feel me? So people act like it's not a big deal, like, oh, nothing changed. You know what I'm saying? But it literally made the whole place worse. It made everything around here worse just because they don't care about their own children. They want to have sex with little girls more than they want their children to be safe. Just got out of court, you know what I'm saying? They could give me a guilty charge, feel me? So, I don't know, you know, they'd rather have me prostituting for them. They'd rather have me pimping for them. It's like, if I don't want to, then it's like they're going to try to send people to start fights with me. And, you know, it's kind of all just a big joke, you know? Like, a bunch of interesting things. One of the things is the judge's name is Bias. You know what I'm saying? So that's almost like a little like weird thing. He's biased. And then two, when I'm waiting
you know, I was waiting for the jury to make deliberations. There's some female sitting across the way, and it's almost like she was trying to distract me or offer me sex. You know what I'm saying? And not only, was I thinking that, or not only did it seem obvious that she was making passes, it was other lawyers and other people coming through and making comments about that. So when it comes to being honest, it's like a lot of this stuff is a joke. They rather, protect their Mexican prostitutes, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of underage prostitution going on out here. If you're not cool with their underage prostitutes, it's all hush-hush, but they're going to try to send Mexicans to fight you. They're going to send people to try to bribe you with sex. And when it comes to being honest, it's like it's really just white people prostituting our women and children. And, either we help them out, we either let them prostitute our women or children, or they use the system to penalize us. You know what I'm saying? And all that U.S. Virgin Islands, all that, it really don't matter. The white people will make threats against us. They'll call the police on us to have us arrested. If we get arrested, they're going to prostitute our children, So I just say, don't come to the United States. It's really just a big joke. It's really just a big scam. And they'll send Mexicans to fight you. They'll try to blackmail you. They'll try to bribe you with sex. But one of the things they will not do is give you a fair trial. You know what I'm saying? They literally will try to bribe you with sex. They will literally try to send people to fight you, but they will not give you a fair trial. When it comes to what's real and what's fake, you know what I'm saying? That's what's real and that's what's fake. They would rather have me pimping for them than to allow me to defend myself and to allow me to make it through honest hard work. They will literally whisper subliminal threats to me, knowing what they're doing. But if I get upset about their subliminal threats, then they're gonna call the police on me. You know what I'm saying? And if I get arrested, if I had children here, they'll just arrest me and they'll prostitute my children when I get arrested. So just know that you come to the United States, that's what it's really like in the United States.
They don't care if they prostitute their daughters. I'm not prostituting my daughters. I stopped having sex. The Americans try to bribe me and distract me with prostitutes. I stopped having sex. Sex will not make me prostitute my daughters. There is no amount, I don't care what their prostitutes look like. I am not prostituting my children. I don't care. I stopped having sex so that I don't have to let my children be prostituted by these Americans. And just because the Mexicans sell their bodies doesn't mean that I want my daughters to sell my daughters' bodies. They make threats to our women and children just because they're okay prostituting their women. It gets to the point where it doesn't matter what their women look like. They're disgusting to me. I will never let my children be prostituted to these Americans. You know what I'm saying? I will never let my children, I'd rather stop having sex than to let my daughters be prostitutes to any of these Americans.
Hey, I said this before, I say it again, man. I only love Asian women. I do not have sex with no Mexicans. I do not have sex with no white people. You know what I'm saying? I only love Asian women. So the Mexicans send their little prostitutes to walk by. I ignore their Mexican prostitutes. The white people send their white prostitutes to walk by. I ignore their white prostitutes. I don't want no white children. I don't want no Mexican children. I want my children to be Asian. So, I say this in Santa Ana, you know what I'm saying? I do not have sex with the Mexicans. I do not work with the Mexicans. I'm not friends with the Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? The Mexicans use underground tunnels to kidnap our women and children. The Mexicans wish I was Mexican. You feel me? But fuck no. I'd rather stop having sex. My children gonna have a good mother. My children not gonna have no Mexican for a mother. You know what I'm saying? My children not gonna have no Mexican for a mother. Nah. My children gonna have a good mother. My children gonna have an Asian mother that loves their children. I'm not gonna let them have a Mexican mother that prostitutes their children. So I stopped having sex. I'm not letting the Mexicans give birth to my children. I only love Asian women.